Consideration of memorials. Will the clerk please read the title of Senate Memorial 1?
Senate Memorial 1 by Senator Rodriguez, memorializing former Senator Don Sandoval.
Senator Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of Senate Memorial 001 and request that it be read at length.
Will the clerk please read Senate Memorial 1 at length?
Senate Memorial 1 by Senator Rodriguez, memorializing former Senator Don Sandoval. Whereas our respected former colleague, Donald A. Don Sandoval, a past member of the Colorado Senate, departed this life on April 7, 2019, and whereas Senator Sandoval was born on January 30th, 1935 in Denver, Colorado, to Mary Hope Sandoval and Jake Sandoval, and whereas Senator Sandoval learned the value of hard work by selling fruits and vegetables, delivering newspapers and shining shoes beginning at age 10, and was no stranger to childhood adversity, including homelessness, and whereas Senator Sandoval attended Annunciation High School and Regis College before serving in the United States Army after World War II and the early years of the Vietnam War, and whereas upon returning home from military service, Senator Sandoval settled in Colorado with his wife, Virginia, together raising 4 children and engaging actively in their community. And whereas initially elected in 1977 to represent Senate District 4 and elected once more in 1984 to represent Senate District 31, Senator Sandoval served as senator for a total of 16 years. And whereas during his time in the Senate, Senator Sandoval served on several committees, including State Affairs, Transportation, Local Government, Business Affairs and Labor, Appropriations, Finance, Senate Services, Legislative Council, and the Police Officers and Firefighters Pension Reform Commission. And whereas Senator Sandoval also served as the Senate Minority Caucus leader from 1979 through 1980, and whereas among his many achievements, Senator Sandoval is noted for introducing and sponsoring legislation that made Colorado one of the first states to enact laws reserving parking spots for and requiring buildings to be accessible to persons with disabilities. And whereas Senator Sandoval also directed his efforts towards obtaining major funding for state schools, pushing juvenile protection laws, and sponsoring legislation to bring Major League Baseball and the Rockies franchise to Colorado. And whereas in 1991, Senator Sandoval was invited to join Mayor Wellington Webb's administration and did so, serving in the Office of International Trade and Economic Development in an effort to strengthen business ties between Denver and Mexico. And whereas Senator Sandoval was a Denver-based business proprietor of a television repair shop, the Bull Ring Restaurant and Lounge, and the Rock Tower, who was known and loved by people everywhere he went. And whereas throughout his life, Senator Sandoval championed numerous community causes to better the lives of small business owners, veterans, union members, children, and families. And whereas Senator Sandoval was a committed father, husband, and grandfather, a devout Catholic, and a friend to many. And whereas it is fitting that we remember and honor a man of such integrity and compassion, and who lived a life in service of others. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 74th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, that in the death of Don Sandoval, the people of the state of Colorado have lost a dedicated public servant and upstanding citizen, and that we, the members of the Colorado Senate, do hereby extend our deep and heartfelt sympathy to the members of his family and pay tribute to a man who served his state well and faithfully. Be it further resolved that copies of this memorial be sent to the family of Donald A. Sandoval.
Senator Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand before you today, colleagues, as a great honor to remember Senator Don Sandoval. I was honored and blessed enough to grow up with Senator Sandoval. My father personally helped on his campaigns when I was a young child. I grew up with his kids as we canvassed and did a lot of stuff in Southeast and East and Southwest and West Denver. His family has been a big part of my life, childhood, growing up. instilled a lot of the values that I've got to bring to this legislature and the values that I bring with you with policy today. Senator Sandoval was born in 1935 at a little home on 38th and Larimer, known as the Lower East Side. In December 27th of 1958, he married his beloved wife, Virginia, who continued to be married, who's with us today. Thank you very much for being here. After Senator Sandoval left the military in World War II, he came back here and started working. As you heard in the story, he grew up selling ice, shining shoes, doing a lot of work that our community had to do as young children, and learned the personal work ethic that's brought him to where he's at today. He loved to travel. Don and his family visited Germany, France, Spain, Italy, China, Japan, Mexico, Ireland, England, Scotland, Costa Rica, Peru, Morocco, Sweden, and of course, all the United States, many places I have yet to attend. Don attended the University of Colorado and Regis College. Don Sandoval worked in the farm industry. He started the United Auto Workers 415 for Caterpillar. He was the vice president for it here in Colorado when he started that union and organized. Some of his greatest achievements in the Senate included sponsoring bills in the disability parking, building access laws in Colorado, one of the first states to have such laws to help citizens with disabilities and senior citizens as a result. Other achievements included juvenile protection laws, obtaining major state funding for school. He was also a co-sponsor for a bill to bring Major League Baseball and the Rockies to Colorado. He was active in his church, attending Mass regularly, involved with the Knights of Columbus, Parish Council, and the Curcio movement. He was a Denver business proprietor, television repair shop, the Bull Ring, a place over on Morrison that I attended quite a bit as a kid, where his friends and colleagues went frequently. The Rock Tower Lounge, where he loved to meet his friends and relatives. Wherever he went, people knew Don. He was very active in his community. Some of the stories I heard that he sent carnations and stuff to constituents when it was her birthday or holidays. He was very engaged with keeping in touch with his community. It's just an honor. I can't say enough about him and his family. Like I said, I personally grew up with these people, and when I was running and considering this, I met with him very many times, and the advice he always gave me is be true, do the good fight, listen to your community, and don't forget where you came from. So a lot of that has been instilled in me and my family growing up, and I just want to thank you all for being here, and it's a very privileged honor for me to do this for him. I'd like to recognize the family and friends that are here today, so when I call your name, please stand up so you can be recognized. Don's family, Virginia Sandoval. Children, Teresa and husband John, Diana and her husband Chris, Ernie and his wife Gina and their friend Wade Wilson, son Matt and his wife Evelyn and their friend Ricardo de la Flor, grandchildren, Robert, Jonathan, Daniel, Reina, Alicia, Jacob, Madeline, Linnea, and Michelle Chavez. Great-grandchildren, Annalise, Hudson, Audrina, Aya, and Gabriel. Nephews and nieces, Dan, Mary, Mike, Tammy, Lori, Joanna, Linda, John, Anita, and her husband, Paul. The friends of the family who will be here, Senator Polly Baca, Senator Bill Schroeder is here, Manny Rodriguez, my father who raised me with this family, Clarence Castillo, Vicky Aguilar Lopez. If I forgot anybody, please stand and be recognized. And on that, I'd like to move, if there's any colleagues that'd like to say any speeches. Thank you guys for being here.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to suspend Senate Rule 31A for the purpose of allowing former members of the House or the Senate to address the body.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that motion is adopted. The Senate will now stand in recess to hear remarks from former members of the chamber. Senator Baca and Senator Schroeder, thank you for joining us today. Senator Baca.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. It is an honor to be here this morning to honor and remember a good friend and a great leader of our state, Senator Don Sandoval. I had the privilege of serving with Donnie for a number of years when I served in the state Senate. He was actually, I guess it was 8 years that I served at the state Senate with Senator Sandoval. And let me just share with you a little bit about the senator. You know, he is someone that I think all of our children would want to emulate. He started from very humble beginnings as a young man, having to work hard with his family. But then he stood strong and went to serve our country, you know, in the service between the Korean and Vietnam Wars. He was a soldier for our country. But that comes as a lifelong tradition. His family was from he was born here in Denver, but his family extends back to the old families who were here in Colorado before Colorado became a state, when we were part of Spain and then part of Mexico and now part of Colorado. And Donnie never forgot that. He always stood as a leader in the forefront of the Chicano movement, as a Latino, and then working hard for the rights and privileges that our community had once been denied. And so he was in the forefront of the Chicano movement before he ran for office. And then when he became a community leader, a businessman, I'll tell you something, if you were a politician in Colorado, you went to the bull ring if you wanted to run for office. That's where you went to get the support of your community, to meet the people that counted in your community. And that was Donnie Sandoval. It was the bull ring where politicians gathered to learn what to do, to know how to serve our community. And so it is and then, of course, he was urged to run for the state Senate. And of course, he ran and he won because he had so much community support. And so, as someone who served with Donnie, I'm here with such fond memories and in awe of all that he was able to do. And I know that his family joins me, and Virginia, his wife, who is still active in our community, they're all here because we remember this man who was a giant in our community and in all of Colorado. And so we stand here remembering someone who meant so much to all of us. Thank you so much, and thank you, Senator Rodriguez, for introducing this wonderful memorial.
Senator Schroeder.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, it's sad to have to come see you every week for a memorial, but it's an honor to be here for Don. I got to sit next to him when I came in 1987, and that gentleman right there is sitting in my seat when I came in, and Don sat in that seat where the lady in the blue top is, the senator. And Don and I had some real discussions over those years, Republican, Democrat discussions. Don always teased me that he was more conservative than I was. And in some cases, Don was fairly conservative. But we had a lot of fun doing that. Don and I served on the Business Affairs and Labor Committee. And I don't have much to say other than I'm sorry there's not more representatives, senators here that can talk about Don, but he was a great representative. In his caucus, as the caucus chairman, he had 10 members in his caucus, and we had 25 in ours. And I've noticed my desk, which was over there, is now gone. It must be over here. But that's life, and I hope that tells you Republicans something about life, because it changes very quick. But on the other hand, our very best to the family, my very best to the family, and it was a pleasure serving with Don, and I wish the family all the best. And Mr. President, thank you.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I renew my motion for the adoption of Senate Memorial 001 and request a roll call vote.
The motion is the adoption of Senate Memorial 1. Will the clerk please poll the members?
Senators Baisley. Baisley, aye. Bridges. Bridges, aye. Buckner. Buckner, aye. Coleman. Coleman, aye. Cutter. Cutter, aye. Danielson. Danielson, aye. Exum. Exum, aye. Fields. Fields, aye. Gardner. Gardner, aye. Janal. Janal, aye. Gonzalez. Gonzalez, aye. Hanson. Hanson, aye. Hinrichsen. Hinrichsen, aye. Jaquez Lewis. Jaquez Lewis, aye. Kirkmeyer. Kirkmeyer, aye. Colker. Colker, aye. Liston. Liston, aye. Lundin. Lundin, aye. Marchman. Marchman, aye. Moreno. Moreno, aye. Mullica. Mullica, aye. Pelton B, absent. Excused. Pelton R. Pelton R, aye. Priola. Rich. Priola, aye. Rich. Rich, aye. Roberts. Roberts, aye. Rodriguez. Rodriguez, aye. Simpson. Simpson, aye. Smallwood. Smallwood, aye. Sullivan. Sullivan, aye. Van Winkle. Van Winkle, aye. Will. Will, aye. Winter F, excused. Zenzinger. Zenzinger, aye. Baca. Baca, aye. Schroeder. Schroeder, aye. Mr. President. Mr. President, aye.
With a vote of 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, the memorial is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
See no objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors to Senate Memorial 1. Members, the Senate will now observe a moment of silence, and the chimes will ring in memory of the great Senator Sandoval. Thank you to all the family and friends who joined us today in honor of Senator Sandoval. We will now stand in a moment of recess to greet all of the guests.